Hi everyone, this is the first movie for Excel Chapter 2, so I'm doing pause and practice number 1. I went into Blackboard and I downloaded the Paradise Lakes file, and I have that up on the left, and I have the instructions from SimNet, the ebook, up on the right. So if you remember last time we set up this part of this, it's kind of the same thing where we had some revenues and then we put some information. This is much more elaborate than what we did in the first. So just to look, we have a category for revenue, a category for expenses. We have a little area over here on the right where we're going to do some statistics. And if you look across the bottom, there's multiple tabs, and remember on the Mac, the one that the colored line is on the bottom is the one you're in. The ones that have the line at the top are the ones that that's not active. So this chapter is all about formulas and function. It really there's a lot of information in this chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and start going through this first pause and practice with you. So so what you need to make sure of is you're always paying attention to what sheet you're on, since there's multiple sheets and you're going to use all of these sheets. So we want to make sure we're on Cass Lake, which we are. Go to B10. That's this cell right here. So what this row is revenue, total revenue from rentals. So if we look up at our revenues, here's room and cabin rentals and equipment rentals. So for this formula, we want to add together the cabin rentals and the equipment rentals. So we start a formula in Excel by using the equal sign. So we're making sure that we're in the cell that has the answer. We start with the equal. That tells Excel, hey, we're entering a formula. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click the first piece of the formula, which is room and cabin rental. I get my blue running ants. My cell address down here is blue, so you know that's it matches. That's what we want. So the next thing I need to do is the mathematical operator. So that's going to be a plus sign because we're adding them together. So I use the plus, and then I'm going to go, and notice the running ants are gone now. It's a solid line. That means you've accepted that entry. So now we're going to go to equipment rental. I have red running ants running around it. So now I have to evaluate, is there more math? Do I need another math symbol here, or is my formula done? Well, in this case, my formula is done. I'm going to use the green check mark, and I'm going to enter it. I now get the answer, which is the 5,400 plus the 358, and that's the answer. So we know that we can copy formulas in a relative fashion by just dragging. So I'm going to click on the little data fill box. Remember, it's not the hand, it's not the open cross, it's the thin black cross, no arrowheads. We're going to go across and let go. So now we have copied that formula that we entered here all the way across. So we don't have to do May, June, July, etc. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is look at a 3D formula. So 3D formulas just mean that you're going off of this sheet and you're going to go to another sheet. So let's look at what we're doing here. This formula is actually quite intense for like the second formula you're going to do, because not only are we moving to the rates and tables to grab this estimated expense, we need to make this reference absolute. So when you make a cell reference absolute, that means that value doesn't change if you copy it. So we want to take, for these expenses, the expense that we derive is a percentage of the total revenue, right? So that percentage is based here. So for administration, it's 8% of the revenue. Management, 15. Operational, 35. That's how you estimate or project your expenses. But when I look at April, May, June, July, the rate that I want is still always, for administrative, is always in G2. So there has to be some way that I lock that so that it doesn't change. So that is by making something absolute. So I'm going to walk you through that. We're going to begin our formula. So I'm in April administrative expenses. So B15 equal. I'm going to go and I'm going to grab the total revenue for April. So that's B11. Get my running ands. Now we're going to multiply. So I need to use the asterisk. So that's the shifted 8 on your keyboard. And now the next piece of the formula is not on this. It's on rates and tables. So I have to click over to rates and tables, find the value that I want. So I get the running ants. Notice in the formula it puts the table name, and that's good, but it's a relative function address because there's no dollar sign. So what I need to do on my keyboard is hit the F4 key. So on the Mac, it just really depends on on what your keyboard is like. So for me, I'm recording this on a MacBook Pro, so I had to use the function and then the F4 key. And what you want to achieve, and you can always type it too, it's just the F4 key is a shortcut. You want to put a dollar sign in front of every piece of the reference to G4. So $G, $4. Notice when you do it, it brings you back. And that's good. You just want to do a check mark. So now I can take that formula and I can drive it across to here. And if I look at this formula, the first piece changes because I want to do May's revenue, but the reference to G2 does not change. So think of that dollar sign as like a lock. If you put it in front of one piece of the address, it's locking that piece in. So when I put it in front of both pieces, it's an absolute reference to that cell G2. Okay. So let's see how far I am in my movie. Hold on one second. I think what I'm going to do is finish this formula up and stop. So the next thing that we're going to do, if we notice management and operational, it's management and then operational. In rates and tables, it's management and operational. So they're in the same order. So I could really put this, and I could have done it up here because they're really in the same order, but we wanted to show both ways. So we're going to do what's called a mixed reference. That means you lock in only one component. So always remember when that dollar sign's there, you're not changing that value. So we're going to go here for management. We're going to start the formula the same way, equal total revenue. But what I want you to think about is if I copy this formula down, because relative, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cells above. If I go down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's nothing there. So I have to lock in the fact that it's in row 11. So I'm going to do my Alt F4 key, but I'm not going to keep it. I don't want both pieces because when I move it across, I want it to do May and June. I only want to lock in the 11. So I'm going to keep hitting my F4 until my dollar sign is only in front of the 11, and that's what I want. Times, and then we're going to go over to rates and tables, click on operational. But think about this. We want to copy down. So we don't want to lock it into all of G3. We just want to lock it in the column G because we want it to go here and we want it to go here. So I'm going to use my F4, so function F4, and I'm going to keep hitting it until it's just in front of the G. And that's what I want. Check mark. I'm done. So that's cool. So now I can drag that down. And then I can take both of those and drag it across. And if we look at those formulas, in this piece, it stays at 11 no matter where I went, and the G stays. So it gets the correct value. All right, guys, I'm going to end this movie here because that's like a lot. So really work through that. Please let me know if you have questions, or let your instructor know. And then I'm going to start, I'm going to divide this one up, and I'll start the next movie here at step 6. All right, guys, thank you.